So the New York Liberty coach, Sandy Brandello, struggled today. Really struggled today. And her team could not live. They could not live with Caitlin Clark today. They couldn't live with the fever. They couldn't live with the way that this team played. And one of the big decisions that she has made over the last couple of games that is a lot of people, it has a lot of people that are fans of other teams happy, but a lot of Liberty fans are not happy. And it is basically they have one of the best pass first point guards to ever play in Courtney Vandersloot. They have, look, she's one of the best ever. Let's not knock somebody based on coming towards the end of their career. But putting Courtney Vandersloot back into the starting lineup has not been a great decision. It really has not been a great decision. And the teams have been struggling a little bit. Like, they're still winning some games, but they looked a lot better when they had like when Sabrina was running the point. They did look a lot better. Even though it is Sabrina playing slightly out of position, they did look a lot better. Like, she was talking about in this game how they came out with an intensity level that was just completely different to how Liberty did. And again, a lot of that is from Caitlin Clark. Before we get on to it, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 17.7k subs by the end of the day. Right now, we are about 70 or so off, 77 off. But when you're looking at this game right here, it says here, drops blunt 7-word message on Lost to Fever. And she is right to an extent. Anyone can beat anyone in this league. And talking about how the Fever executed better than the Stretch. And you have to bring the same focus for every opponent. I think one of the big things was that they just missed shots today. I think there were two things that I think there were two things that really decided that game today. It was the fact that the Liberty missed everything. The Liberty missed absolutely everything. So that was obviously, that is a big deal. It is a big deal when the Liberty cannot hit a shot. But another reason was they couldn't deal with the pace. And you could see, when you get off to a 10-1 lead, and even down the stretch, the way the Fever won that game was just pushing the pace. It is something that she can say. She talks about the intensity. She talks about a lot of other things and saying everyone can beat everyone in the league, talking about the defense. But the reality of it is that when she's talking about it, it was a big, she talked a roundabout way of saying, yeah, they just outran us. They just outran us. And that's what the Mercury coach said in their last win. The Mercury coach came out and basically said, yeah, they outran us. And you're not going to hear, obviously, the Storm coach or Becky Hammond when they're winning those games. You're not going to hear, teams coming out and saying, oh, after a win, oh, you know what, they just outran us. But if you watch the Aces game, obviously the Fever were in that game when they became the 7 seconds or less Fever. And you've seen, obviously she's wearing a Mercury top right here, previous coach of the Mercury, her past team and her current team. These are good teams. The Liberty are a good team. The Mercury are, as much as you want to say, oh, they're 10-10. No, they're a good team. They are a good team. You can't be a team with Natasha Cloud, Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, and Kat Copper, with Becca Allen, Sophie Cunningham, those type of players on the bench. You can't be a team of that level without being a good team. And you can tell from the way all these coaches are reacting to losses that it's getting sucker punched. They're getting sucker punched by this team. And it is an Indiana Fever team and it's not just on Caitlin Clark, by the way. She's just the orchestrator. She is just the orchestrator. She is the orchestrator of what they're doing. And look, they're not able to play this pace without Caitlin Clark, but they're also not able to play this pace without the rest of the players in the team. Without Kelsey Mitchell's scoring, without Aaliyah Boston, who has been exceptional. She has been exceptional the last 10 games. Without, Nalissa Smith. Nalissa Smith was all right today. She was all right today. Katie Lou runs. Lexi Hall runs. Tammy Fagbenley runs. So it's not just all on one player. Again, it's building around that one player, but the style of play, the Iowa style of play, I've said it from the very start, the Iowa style of play in this league is going to be near impossible to beat. And again, like the Mercury coach was the first coach that is like, well, no, it was the pace. So when they've won games, coaches have talked about like the intensity of the Fever, that they've stepped up in certain ways. And I think a lot of the Mercury coach is a former NBA assistant coach. This is his first WNBA job. He's just come out and flat out said, oh yeah, it was the pace. And a lot of coaches, like Sandy even, will talk roundabout ways of describing why they lost, talk about intensity, talk about other stuff, when in reality, they're just talking about the pace. They're WNBA coaches who don't really want to admit that, yeah, this new way of playing, we can't deal with it. We can't live with this. And it's going to be scary. It's going to be real, real scary when Caitlin Clark is surrounded with players that will really like fit her style. Like again, if you surround her, obviously you're never going to be able to do this, but let's just say hypothetically, you surround her with Dejanay Carrington on one of the wings. If you put, let's just say hypothetically, no attitude-wise, you put Kennedy Carter, one wing, Dejanay Carrington on the other wing to cover the defense. You keep Aaliyah Boston in there, and then at the power forward position, you put in an Angel Reese. Like, obviously, that team's never going to happen. But just imagine a hypothetical situation where you got those type of players. Heck, if they don't make the playoffs this year and you can get Anissa Morrow or Kiki, like if you can put one of those two in, heck, even if, or Paige Beckers, obviously, if you can get Paige, you get Paige. Imagine a team with like Caitlin Clark, Morrow, if they can manage to get a Dejanay Carrington level player on the wing, and then you maybe you keep Kelsey Mitchell, maybe you get rid of Kelsey Mitchell, and at the 4 you get just a legit running 4 with Boston at the 5. Like that team is championship level early because they just play a different style. They play a different style, and you could tell throughout that game, like the way the timeouts were called, they got sucker punched early, and at different times not being able to deal with the pace. Heck, even the panic timeout that she called a panic timeout at 29 seconds instead of letting them set up. And you can see in a lot of situations where it's like, do we let them go and get our team go and get a score? No, let's call a timeout. So they got a good look off it, but you can see, you really, really could see, with the, oh no, it was the 29 seconds. Sorry, that was the dribble off the foot. But you could see that this is a team that is way better than the Fever. The Fever just played away today that the Liberty couldn't deal with. And again, the Fever made a lot of mistakes. The Fever played a bit better defense. That's a blowout game. And I think the Fever playing like this beat a lot of teams. So anyway, that is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.